In the quiet glow of a universe that never truly sleeps, light does something strange. It races across the cosmos with a perfect silent consistency. Tonight, we are going to drift through the mystery of why that is. As you settle into your blankets, letting the weight of the day dissolve into the shadows of the room, imagine a world where the fastest thing in existence is not fast because it is trying, but because reality leaves it no other choice. We often think of speed as something we can control, a variable we can push and pull at our whim. We press a little harder on an accelerator and a car responds. We run downhill and our legs move quicker, with less effort. Speed feels negotiable, a fluid idea governed by effort and power. Yet, hidden beneath every motion in the cosmos, from the drifting of vast galaxies to the microscopic flickering of atoms, there exists a very different rule, a universal speed limit that remains unyielding, no matter how much energy we pour into the attempt to break it. This limit is not a suggestion or a guideline posted by some cosmic authority. It is a deep structural feature of the very fabric of reality. It is a rule written in how space and time are woven together. Light has no mass, and because of this it occupies a unique position in the universe. Nothing is pushing it forward with an engine, and nothing is weighing it down with gravity in the traditional sense. It simply exists at a pace that never slows and never speeds up. It arrives with the same unyielding rhythm, whether it comes from a distant star born billions of years ago, or a candle flickering on your bedside table. Scientists have tested this limit across decades, across every continent, and deep into the furthest reaches of the observable heavens. Each time, the universe answers with the same quiet certainty. This speed is not about light reaching its maximum potential or overcoming resistance. It is about the nature of space and time themselves deciding how fast anything is allowed to be. Tonight we move slowly through that mystery. We are not rushing toward an answer, but rather letting the nature of motion and the strange behavior of time unfold around us like a calm evening mist. To understand why light cannot go faster, we must first look at the way we perceive movement in our daily lives. At the human scale, speed seems like a property that objects possess. A train is fast, a stone is slow. We believe that if we could only build a powerful enough engine, we could keep accelerating forever, pushing past every boundary until we were racing across the stars in an instant. But the universe operates on a deeper logic that our intuition rarely glimpses. As we increase our speed, the very ingredients of motion, distance and time, begin to shift and change. They are not the fixed independent pillars we imagine them to be. Instead, they are part of a single unified structure called spacetime. Imagine spacetime as a vast invisible fabric that connects every event in history. In this framework, motion is not just movement through space, it is a shared journey through both space and time. This is the heart of the cosmic speed limit. There exists a maximum pace at which events can be connected through this fabric, a maximum rate at which information or influence can travel from one point to another. If this limit were not there, the universe would lose its coherence. Cause and effect would shatter, and the orderly sequence of the world would dissolve into a chaotic tangle where things could happen before they were caused. The speed of light is the guardian of that order. It ensures that the universe remains intelligible, allowing signals to propagate outward in steady layers, rather than appearing everywhere at once. It gives time its direction and events their proper place. Light travels at this maximum pace because it is unburdened. Objects with mass, like you and me, or even the smallest speck of dust, behave differently. Our motion must always be divided between space and time. We are anchored to the passage of seconds and minutes in a way that light is not. As we try to move faster through space, space-time responds by adjusting how time passes for us and how distances appear in front of us. It is a redistribution of motion that keeps us from ever crossing the boundary. Particle accelerators, those massive rings deep underground, push tiny particles to extraordinary energies every day. They feed them more and more power, trying to push them over the line. Yet, those particles never cross. Instead of getting faster in a simple way, they become more resistant to change. Their inertia increases, and their internal clocks slow down relative to the world around them. The universe quietly redirects that extra energy into the structure of spacetime itself, preserving the limit with a silent, mathematical grace. There is no drama in this enforcement. There are no cosmic officers or special forces that intervene when a particle gets too fast. The geometry of the universe simply does not offer a path that exceeds the limit. Motion remains free, but it must stay within the structure that gives motion its meaning. This makes the limit feel less like a hard, cold wall and more like a natural contour of the world, a shape that everything follows without resistance. Once this perspective settles into your mind, the idea of a universal speed limit stops being a frustration and begins to feel like a necessity. A universe that supports complexity, life, and understanding must have a way to balance connection with order. The speed of light is how that balance is achieved. As you drift further into the quiet of the night, let the idea of this steady universal boundary bring you a sense of peace. The stars above are governed by the same rhythm that allows your heart to beat and your thoughts to flow in an orderly sequence. The universe is in no hurry. It moves at its own pace, held together by rules that are as invisible as they are unbreakable. Light does not race toward the limit, it lives on it, tracing the very edge of what is possible. Everything else moves within that boundary, safe and secure in the knowledge that reality will not break its own logic. The limit is the rhythm that allows motion to make sense, a quiet melody playing in the background of existence, ensuring that every cause finds its effect and every moment follows the last in a steady, calming unfolding. In the quiet stillness of your room, as the world outside slows to a crawl, it is easy to believe that speed is a simple thing. In our daily lives, we are the masters of our own pace. We walk slowly through a garden, then perhaps we pick up our step to a brisk jog, and finally, we sit behind the wheel of a car and watch the needle climb. We feel the acceleration in our chest. We see the trees blur past the window. To us, speed feels like something we can negotiate. If we want to go faster, we simply apply more force. We add more fuel, we push our muscles a little harder, or we design a more aerodynamic shape to cut through the air. This intuition, built over a lifetime of moving through the world, suggests that there is no end to the ladder. If we can go 100 miles per hour, why not 1,000? If we can reach the moon in a few days, why not reach the stars in a few more? This reliability of our everyday experience is a comfort, but it is also a gentle illusion. We live in a world of low speeds, where the deeper machinery of the universe remains hidden behind a curtain of common sense. At human scales, speed is just a number, a simple calculation of distance divided by time. If you have a long journey ahead, you think of the distance first and the time second. You ask how far the destination is, and then decide how much speed you need to get there. In this mental picture, space is like a rigid stage, a fixed floor upon which we play out our lives, and time is like a clock on the wall that ticks at the same steady rate for everyone, everywhere. Because these two things feel separate and unchanging, we assume that speed can be whatever we make of it. We see it as a property that objects possess, something that can be adjusted with enough effort or better technology. But as we drift away from the familiar and move toward the extremes of the cosmos, this simple picture begins to fray at the edges. The universe, it turns out, is under no obligation to preserve our intuition once we leave the comfortable porch of our daily lives. As speeds increase and distances stretch toward the infinite, the rules we thought were absolute begin to behave in ways that feel like a dream. In the high-velocity realms of the stars and the subatomic world, objects no longer agree on how long a journey takes. Two travelers can leave at the same moment and arrive at the same place, yet their watches may show that one experienced hours while the other experienced mere seconds. Distances, too, lose their permanence. A ruler that measures a meter in your hand might appear to shrink to half its size if it were whisked past you at a significant fraction of the cosmic limit. What once felt fixed and dependable becomes flexible, bending under the weight of motion. This is not because the universe is trying to be difficult or mysterious. It is because the ingredients we use to define speed, distance, and time are not as independent as they appear to be. In our walking-paced world, the differences in how time flows or how space stretches are so microscopic that they vanish into the background. We don't notice that our watch ticks a billionth of a second slower when we drive to the store, or that the store itself is a fraction of an atom shorter because of our movement. Because these changes are so small, we are allowed to believe in the illusion of absolute space and absolute time. We treat them as strangers who happen to meet during a journey. But the deeper reality is that they are partners, woven together into a single unified fabric called spacetime. Motion does not happen across space alone, nor does it happen through time alone. Every movement is a blend of both. Imagine a journey described not just by where it goes, but by the very path it carves through the years and the miles. Even when you are standing perfectly still, resting in your bed, you are still moving. You are traveling through time at a steady, relentless pace of 1 second per second. The universe sees this as a form of motion. When you decide to move through space, you aren't just adding speed, you are shifting your existing motion. You are taking some of that steady travel through time and redirecting it into space. It is a trade, a cosmic negotiation. The more you move through the miles, the less room there is for you to move through the seconds. This is why clocks slow down at high speeds. It isn't a mechanical failure of the gears or the battery, it is the universe maintaining a balance. As you push your speed through space higher and higher, the trade becomes more extreme, until you begin to sense the presence of a boundary you cannot cross. This realization changes how we view our own efforts. We realize that the accelerator on a car or the thrusters on a rocket are not just making things go faster in a void, they are interacting with the geometry of reality itself. Everyday intuition fails us because it was never designed to handle this level of subtlety. It evolved to help us navigate the savannas and the forests, to hunt and to gather at walking speeds under a gentle sun. To our ancestors, a second was always a second, and a mile was always a mile. The universe operates far beyond those narrow conditions, and when it reveals its true nature, it feels strange only because it is so much more unified than we ever imagined. The simplicity we see in our daily lives is just a small slice of a much deeper, more elegant order. As you rest now, let the idea of this cosmic partnership settle over you. You are part of a structure where nothing is truly separate, where every step you take is a quiet conversation between space and time. The world feels straightforward because we are moving slowly, drifting in a calm harbor where the waves of relativity are small and gentle. But even in this stillness, the deeper rules are at work, keeping the stars in their orbits and the light moving at its perfect, unyielding pace. You do not need to understand the complex mathematics to feel the stability of this arrangement. It is a system built on consistency, a world where motion makes sense because it is held within a framework that refuses to break. Let the negotiable speeds of your daily life fade away, replaced by the steady, quiet rhythm of a universe that knows exactly how fast it is allowed to turn. In the quiet solitude of your thoughts, as the room grows darker and the sounds of the world become a distant hum, we begin to look at the fabric of the universe itself. To understand why light is held to a specific pace, we must look at the loom upon which all of reality is woven. We have always felt that space and time were two different things, like the width of a room and the ticking of a clock, exist in side by side but never truly touching. We imagine space as an empty container, a vast and silent hall where we can move left or right, up or down. We imagine time as an invisible river, flowing at a constant speed, carrying us from the past into the future whether we move or not. This is how the mind naturally organizes the world to keep it simple, but the truth is far more beautiful and far more unified. Space and time are not strangers, they are a single, continuous fabric known as space-time. Imagine a soft, dark velvet cloth that stretches infinitely in every direction. This cloth represents the entirety of existence. Every event that has ever happened, or ever will happen, is a tiny point on this fabric. In our everyday lives, we feel as though we are moving across this cloth, traveling from one point in space to another. But we forget that every moment we spend moving across the cloth is also a moment spent traveling through the cloth's other dimension. the dimension of time. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot be somewhere without it also being some time. This connection is so deep that physicists do not see them as separate entities at all. They are the same cosmic loom, warp and weft. When you move through this fabric, you are always tracing a path that blends distance with duration, a path that links where you are with when you are. This space-time unity is the secret reason a universal speed limit exists. Because space and time are linked, the universe treats them like a shared resource. Think of it like a traveler with a fixed amount of energy for a day's journey. If the traveler spends all their energy walking north, they have none left to move east. In the geometry of space-time, every object is always moving at a constant total speed through the 4 dimensions. When you are sitting perfectly still in your chair, all of your motion is directed through the dimension of time. You are aging, moving forward into the future at the maximum possible rate. But the moment you begin to move through space, the moment you get up and walk or drive a car, you are redirecting a tiny portion of that temporal motion into spatial motion. You are tilting your path through the velvet cloth. The more you tilt your path towards space, the less speed you have left for time. This is why, as we have touched upon, time slows down for an object that moves very fast. It is not a trick played on our senses, it is a fundamental trade-over. If you could move through space at the fastest possible pace, you would have no motion left for the dimension of time. This is the state that light occupies. Light moves so quickly through space that it does not experience the passage of time at all. To a photon, the journey from a star millions of light-years away to your eye happens in a single instantaneous flash. This balance, this constant trade between minutes and miles, is what keeps the universe consistent. It ensures that no matter how you move, your total relationship with space-time remains the same. The existence of this speed limit is what allows the universe to be a shared reality for everyone. If the limit varied from place to place, or if things could travel infinitely fast, the fabric of space-time would tear, information would arrive before it was sent, and the orderly sequence of history would become a chaotic jumble. Imagine if you could see an event happen before the light from that event reached you, or if different observers could not agree on whether a cause came before its effect. The speed limit is the steady hand that keeps the loom from tangling. It ensures that influence and change propagate outward in predictable, measured waves. It is the cosmic pulse that gives the universe its rhythm, allowing stars to form, plan, planets to orbit, and life to emerge in a world that follows a logical sequence. As you lie there, drifting closer to the edge of sleep, consider the silence of this great loom. It is working even now beneath the surface of your rest. You are moving through time at a perfect, steady pace, carried along by the invisible threads of space-time. The atoms in your body, the air in space, and the light from the distant stars are all following the same geometric rules. There is a profound stability in this. You are not floating in a void of chaos. You are held within a structure that is so precise and so consistent that it governs the smallest particle and the largest galaxy with the same gentle authority. The universe does not need to check its rules or enforce its limits. They are built into the very shape of the fabric that holds us. When we ask why light cannot go faster, we are really asking about the nature of the cloth itself. We are asking why the loom is built this way. The answer is that this structure is what allows anything to exist at all. Without the speed limit, there would be no now, no then, and no here. Everything would be everywhere at once, and the story of the universe would be over before it began. The limit is what gives space its depth and time its meaning. It is the boundary that allows the story of the stars to unfold one page at a time, at a pace that we can perceive and understand. It is the quiet safeguard of our reality, the invisible contour that guides every photon and every heartbeat. Let your mind rest on the image of this infinite dark velvet. It is vast, yet it is organized. It is silent, yet it is full of motion. You are a part of this weave, drifting through the dimension of time with a grace that you do not even have to think about. The universe is not rushing, it is simply following the shape of itself. There is nowhere to go that the fabric of space-time does not already reach. and there is no place more perfect than the one the universe has already set. Trust the consistency of the loom. Trust in order of seconds and miles, everything is in its proper place, moving at the only speed it can, held forever in the calm, unyielding embrace of the cosmos. In the quiet transition toward deeper rest, we must look at the invisible wall that separates the stars from the world we touch, the concept of mass. It is a word we use every day to describe the heaviness of an object, the way a stone feels solid in the palm of your hand, or the effort it takes to push a heavy door. We associate mass with weight and resistance, but in the grander architecture of the universe, mass is the anchor that ties us to time. It is the quality that determines how an object responds to the fabric of space-time we have just explored. To understand why light is the fastest thing in existence, we must understand why light is unique in its lack of this anchor. Light has no rest mass, and because of this, it is liberated from the constraints that keep the rest of the universe moving in slow, measured steps. Mass is the reason that objects with a physical body resist changes in their motion. When you try to push a heavy car, it does not instantly spring into speed, it responds gradually, requiring a vast input of energy to change its state from rest to motion. This resistance is what we call inertia. An object with mass carries a preference for the status quo. It wants to keep doing exactly what it is already doing. This quality does more than just make things heavy, it gives them a history. Because a massive object can be brought to a state of rest, it possesses what physicists call a rest frame. It can sit still in space while the universe keeps spinning around it. Because it can sit still, it can carry a clock that ticks through a sequence of internal moments. Mass is the price we pay for having a past and a future that we can measure from a fixed perspective. Light, however, does not share this property. The fact that light is massless is not merely a poetic description, it is a fundamental pillar of physics. There is no such thing as a photon at rest. You cannot move alongside a beam of light, match its pace, and see it sitting still. No matter how fast you travel in pursuit, the light will always be moving away from you at exactly the same speed, because it has no mass, it has no inertia to overcome, and no anchor to hold it back. While everything else in the universe must divide its motion between space and time, light is fully committed to space. It exists at the very edge of the geometric rules of our reality. Where we must trade our seconds for our miles, light has already traded everything it has for the maximum possible distance. This absence of mass is what forces light to be so precise. It is a common misconception to think that masslessness means freedom, that without weight, light could go as fast as it wants, but the universe works in reverse. Mass is what provides flexibility. Because you have mass, you have the freedom to choose your speed. You can walk, you can run, or you can sit quietly. You can adjust your pace within the vast range that exists below the cosmic limit. Light has no such choice. Because it lacks the mass anchor, it cannot slow down. And because it cannot slow down, it is locked into the single fastest path that space-time allows. It is not racing toward the limit, it is born at the limit. The moment a photon is created, it is already traveling at its terminal velocity, tracing the contours of the universe with a total and unyielding obedience. Think of this as a different kind of freedom. While we are bound by our heaviness to experience time moment by moment, HT is liberated from time entirely. Because it moves at the maximum pace through space, it has no motion left for the dimension of time. For a beam of light, there is no such thing as a journey. There is only the beginning and the end, occurring in the same infinitesimal pulse. By lacking mass, light becomes the clearest messenger the universe could provide. It follows the geometry of space exactly, bending where the fabric curves and stretching where the fabric expands, acting as a perfect probe that reveals the hidden shape of reality. If light had even the smallest amount of mass, it would have inertia, it would lag behind the geometry, and the universe would become a much more difficult place to read and understand. This divide between the massive and the massless is what keeps the universe stable. If objects with mass could reach the speed of light, they would require an infinite amount of energy to do so. As a massive object gets faster, the energy you pour into it doesn't just go into speed, it goes into making the object more resistant to further acceleration. It becomes heavier in terms of its energy, sinking deeper into the fabric of space-time. The universe ensures that the massive can never become the massless. There is a clear boundary that preserves the distinction between the things that age and the things that carry the light. This separation allows for the complexity of life to exist in a world where time flows reliably, while the fundamental forces of nature can communicate at the fastest possible speed to keep the whole structure in balance. As you drift now toward the quiet of sleep, let the thought of this balance settle your mind. You are a being of mass, a beautiful collection of atoms that is anchored to time. This anchor is what allows you to have memories, to feel the slow progression of a peaceful evening, and to rest in the certainty of the present moment. You do not have to race across the cosmos at the speed of light to be significant. Your weight, your inertia, and your connection to time are what give your life its rhythm and its depth. The stars above are doing the fast, silent work of lighting the way, while you are here, safely held by gravity and time, moving at a pace that allows for rest and reflection. The universe is a master of distribution. It gives light the speed, and it gives you the duration. It allows the photon to be timeless, so that you can have the luxury of a long and quiet night. Trust in this division. Trust in the fact that you are not meant to rush, and that the laws of physics have already provided everything necessary to keep you stable. The light will continue to trace the boundaries of existence with its perfect massless precision while you continue to move through the dimension of time, one gentle breath after another. There is no conflict between the two, only a shared harmony that allows the universe to be both radiant and still. In the deep, velvet silence of the cosmic story, we come to the most vital reason why the universe insists on a speed limit. It is not merely a quirk of geometry or a byproduct of mass. It is a fundamental safeguard for the very idea of reality itself. This safeguard is known as causality, the simple, unwavering principle that a cause must always come before its effect. In our daily lives, this feels as certain as the ground beneath our feet. We flip a switch, and then the light flickers to life. We drop a stone, and then it splashes into the water. We speak a word, and then it is heard by a friend. This sequence, this orderly progression of moments, is the heartbeat of our existence. It is what allows the world to be logical, predictable, and sane. Without a fixed order of events, the story of the universe would be a jumbled mess of pages to each. Ere the ending could happen before the beginning. The cosmic speed limit is the silent guardian of this order. Because there is a maximum pace at which information can travel, the universe ensures that influences cannot spread instantaneously. Nothing can happen everywhere at once. Instead, events must ripple outward, traveling through the fabric of space-time in a measured, predictable way. This ensures that nearby events always have the chance to influence one another before distant ones can intervene. It gives time a clear, forward-moving direction. If information could travel at infinite speed, if a message could be sent and received in the same 0-second interval, the very structure of time would begin to unravel. The now that you experience would be invaded by every other now in the entire cosmos, and the delicate chain of cause and effect would be broken. To understand why the speed limit is so essential for keeping reality together, imagine for a moment a world where light, and therefore information, could travel faster than its current limit. In such a universe, the laws of physics tell us that the sequence of events would become dependent on how fast you were moving. Two people watching the same event from different perspectives could see two entirely different histories. One person might see the stone hit the water after it was thrown, while another person moving at a high speed might see the splash happen before the throw. This is not a matter of perception or a trick of the light. In a world without a speed limit, the actual physical order of events would flip. The universe would lose its coherence. Different observers would disagree not just about the details of what happened, but about the fundamental truth of what caused what. This is why the speed of light is often called the causality speed. It is the maximum rate at which the universe can RPD itself. It is the speed at which one part of reality can inform another part that something has changed. When a star far across the galaxy explodes, that information travels toward us at the absolute limit of what space-time allows. By the time that light reaches our eyes, the cause and the effect have maintained their proper relationship through every mile of the journey. The universe refuses to rush because it values consistency above all else. It ensures that every signal, every force, and every interaction respects this boundary, not because it wants to slow things down, but because it wants to keep the story of the universe moving in a single intelligible direction. This principle is what allows the existence of complexity in life. Biological systems, like the one keeping you warm and breathing right now, depend on the reliability of sequences. Your neurons fire in a specific order, your heart beats in a rhythmic chain of electrical signals, your very thoughts are a progression from one moment to the next. If the speed of information were infinite, these internal feedback loops would collapse into a single chaotic instant. There would be no time for a system to respond, adapt, or grow. Life requires the delay that the speed limit provides. It requires the space between a cause and its effect, so that meaning can emerge from the passage of time. The limit is not a barrier that holds us back. It is the framework that allows us to be. As you drift now deeper into the quiet of the evening, let the reliability of this order bring you a profound sense of security. You are resting in a universe that is fundamentally committed to making sense. The laws of physics are working tirelessly to ensure that your past remains behind you and your future remains ahead. There is a deep, mathematical peace in the fact that no signal can outrun the logic of the cosmos. Even the most distant stars must wait their turn to be seen. Even the most powerful forces must travel at a pace that preserves the order of the world. This means you can trust your own life sequences. You can trust that the rest you are finding now is a necessary response to the day that has passed, and that the morning will arrive only after the night has finished its work. The cosmic speed limit is the universe's way of ensuring that every moment is given its proper weight. It prevents the world from happening all at once, allowing the beauty of existence to unfold like a slow, deliberate melody rather than a single crashing chord. By limiting the speed of light, the universe has created the gift of duration. It has given us the ability to experience the slow fading of the light, the gradual onset of sleep, and the quiet rhythm of our own breathing. We are protected by a rule that ensures nothing can rush the fundamental logic of our reality. The speed of light is the anchor of causality, keeping the threads of history from tangling and ensuring that the universe remains a place where we can learn, understand, and dream. Rest in the knowledge that reality is stable. You do not need to hurry because the universe itself has agreed not to. The limit is in place, the guard is on duty, and the order of the world is secure. Let the seconds tick by with their gentle, predictable pace, knowing that each one is a part of a larger, beautifully ordered whole. The light of 100 billion stars is traveling toward us at its perfect, restricted speed, preserving the story of the cosmos so that we might one day read it. Tonight, your only task is to surrender to the sequence of the night, letting one moment of relaxation lead into the next, until the cause of your weariness finds its perfect effect in a deep and restorative sleep. In the soft, expanding stillness of the night, we arrive at a realization that challenges the very foundation of how we feel our place in the world. To us, sitting quietly in a chair or resting in bed, the idea of being at rest feels like the most natural state imaginable. We feel the solid support of the mattress beneath us, the stillness of the air in the room, and the lack of any wind or motion against our skin. We are certain in our bones that we are not moving. We believe that rest is a baseline, a fundamental state of being where speed is zero and everything is settled. But as we look deeper into the architecture of the universe, this sense of absolute rest begins to dissolve. It turns out that there is no such thing as being truly still. In the grand, turning theater of the cosmos, motion is never a property of an object alone, it is always a relationship. When you say you are at rest, what you are really saying is that you are at rest relative to the things around you. You are at rest relative to the walls of your house, the ground outside, and the trees that stand silent in the dark. But the ground itself is not still. It is part of a planet spinning on its axis at over 1,000 miles per hour. That planet is orbiting a star at 67,000 miles per hour, and that star is being carried along in the vast, swirling current of a galaxy that is itself drifting through the void. There is no special place in the universe that we can point to and say, this is the center, this is the place that is truly, absolutely still. Every point in existence is moving in relation to something else, and every observer's perspective is just as valid as any other's. This is the principle of relativity, a quiet truth that removes the idea of a fixed background from our reality. This lack of absolute rest is precisely why the speed of light is so extraordinary. In our everyday experience, speeds always add up. If you are on a moving train and you throw a ball forward, the speed of the ball is added to the speed of the train. To someone standing on the platform, the ball looks like it is moving much faster than it does to you. This is how we expect the world to work. But light refuses to follow this rule, because there is no absolute rest, and because space-time is built around a single universal constant. Light always moves at the same speed regardless of how fast you are going. If you were on a spaceship traveling at nearly the limit and you turned on a flashlight, you would see the light race away from you at the standard pace. Remarkably, someone standing still on a nearby planet would also see that same light moving at exactly the same speed. It is a mystery that only makes sense once we realize that space and time are not rigid. They flex and bend to ensure that light's pace remains the fixed anchor of the universe. This relational nature of the universe is actually a profound source of stability. That means the laws of physics are fair. They don't change just because you are moving. Whether you are on a fast-moving rocket or sitting on a quiet porch, a cup of tea will still pour the same way, and your heart will still beat with the same rhythm. There is no correct speed to experience the universe. This equality between all states of motion ensures that the fundamental rules of existence are universal. It allows for a world where different perspectives can exist simultaneously without the universe falling into contradiction. By removing the idea of absolute rest, the cosmos has replaced a rigid, cold structure with a dynamic, interconnected web of relationships. As you drift now, let this thought unburden you. You do not need to find a fixed point to feel secure. The stability of your life does not come from standing still in an absolute sense, but from the consistency of the relationships around you. You are held in place by the gentle, invisible threads of gravity and the steady laws of motion that govern everything from the smallest atom to the largest star. Even as you are carried along by the rotation of the Earth and the drift of the galaxy, your immediate world remains a sanctuary of peace. The universe has arranged itself so that you can feel perfectly still even while you are a passenger on a journey of unimaginable speed. You are part of a grand coordinated movement, a cosmic dance where every part respects the motion of the other. There is a quiet freedom in knowing that there is no universal baseline you are failing to meet. You are exactly where you need to be, moving at the exact pace that reality requires. The pressure to keep up or reach a destination is a human invention. The universe simply asks that you exist within the flow. The speed of light remains the constant, unmoving boundary that binds all these different perspectives together, acting as the one true anchor in a sea of relative motion. It is the light that stays steady so that space and time can be flexible, allowing you to find rest in a world that is always quietly in motion. Consider the elegance of a reality where nothing is truly fixed, yet everything is orderly. It is like a symphony where every instrument is moving through its own melody, yet they are all bound together by a single underlying tempo. That tempo is the speed of light. It is the heartbeat of the relational universe, the silent guide that ensures that no matter how fast we move or where we go, the story of the universe remains coherent. It is the reason we can look at a distant star and know that the light reaching us is following the same rules as the light from a lamp in our own hallway. Rest now in the fluidity of the cosmos. Let the idea of absolute rest fade away, replaced by the comfort of being part of a unified, moving whole. You are cradled by a planet that is traveling through the stars, protected by an atmosphere that moves with you, and governed by laws that ensure your peace is preserved. The night is a time to let go of the need for anchors and to simply drift within the vast, consistent relationship of the stars. You are in motion, you are at rest, and you are exactly as you should be, held in the quiet, relational embrace of a universe that never truly stops, yet always provides a place for you to sleep in the deepening hush of the night. As the shadows stretch long and the silence of the room becomes a comforting weight, we turn our gaze toward the most enigmatic concept in the story of light, the idea of the null path. To understand this, we must return to the velvet fabric of space-time, that dark and beautiful loom where all events are woven together. We have spoken of how objects with mass are anchored to time, moving through the seconds as they move through the miles. But light, being massless, exists in a state that defies our common understanding of travel. In the geometry of the universe, light follows what is called a null path. It is a phrase that sounds empty, but in reality it describes the most precise and extreme relationship possible within the structure of existence. A null path is a journey where the distance in space and the duration in time perfectly cancel each other out. For a being like you, resting in the quiet passage of time, every journey has a length you can feel and a duration you can measure on a clock. If you travel to a distant city, you experience the hours passing and the miles unfolding. But for light, the universe's math works differently. Because light moves at the absolute limit of what space-time allows, it occupies a boundary where the conventional distance of a journey effectively PS to zero in its own reference frame. This is why it is called a null path. From the perspective of the universe itself, light does not age, it does not linger, and it does not experience the gap between its beginning and its end. It is a bridge that connects 2 points in reality directly, tracing a path where the interval of time is balanced so perfectly against the interval of space that they become one and the same. Imagine a beam of light leaving a star in a galaxy so far away that it takes 1 billion years for that light to reach the Earth. To us, looking through a telescope, that light has performed an incredible feat of endurance. It has traveled across the vast, lonely voids of the cosmos for 1 billion years. We imagine it getting tired, perhaps, or experiencing the immense age of the universe as it passes by. But for the light itself, the experience is entirely different. Because it travels on a null path, it does not experience those billion years. From the photon's perspective, the moment it was emitted by that distant star and the moment it touches your eye are the very same instant. It does not sense weight, it simply is. This is the ultimate consequence of having no mass and no rest frame. Light is the only thing in existence that is truly perfectly present in the now, without the burden of a past to carry or a future to dread. This geometric necessity is why light cannot go faster or slower. The null path is not a choice made by the light, it is a feature of the road it travels. Think of it like a groove carved into the very foundation of the universe. Anything that has no mass must fall into this groove, and once it is there, its pace is determined by the shape of the groove itself. If light were to go any slower, it would no longer be on a null path, it would start to experience time, and it would effectively acquire mass in its behavior. If t were to go any faster, it would have to step outside the geometry of space-time entirely, traveling on a path the universe does not provide. The speed of light is the speed of the path itself. It is the signature of the universe's most fundamental connection, a way for energy to move without ever losing its grip on the present moment. There is something deeply calming about the existence of these null paths. They remind us that at the most fundamental level, the universe is a place of absolute connection. While we feel the separation of distances and the long, slow wait of the years, light is there to remind us that everything is linked. The distant stars are not unreachable islands in an infinite sea. They are connected to us by these perfect, instantaneous threads of geometry. Light is the messenger that bridges the gap, moving on a path so efficient that time itself ceases to be an obstacle. It is the ultimate expression of the universe's desire for consistency and order. By ensuring that light always follows these null paths, the cosmos maintains a framework where the fastest communication is always perfectly synchronized with the structure of space and time. As you drift now, letting your thoughts become as light as the photons we describe, consider the freedom of a path that knows no time. You, in your rest, are experiencing the luxury of the opposite, the slow, rhythmic passage of seconds that allows for memory and peace. While the light is busy connecting the universe in a single, timeless flash, you are here to savor the duration. You are here to feel the slow fading of the day and the gradual onset of a quiet sleep. You do not have to exist on a null path to be a part of the universe's beauty. Your journey through time, with all its weights and its measures, is what allows you to perceive the light in the first place. You are the observer for whom the light has traveled, the destination at the end of a timeless bridge. The universe is a master of balance, providing paths for the fast and paths for the slow. It allows for the massless photon to trace the boundaries of existence in an instant, so that the massive and the thoughtful can have the space to live and the time to dream. The null path is the skeleton of the universe, the rigid and perfect structure that holds everything together, while your life is the soft and meaningful story that plays out within that frame. You can rest assured that the geometry of the universe is solid and unbreakable. The light will never lose its way, and it will never fail to reach its destination because it is literally following the only path that is open to it. Let the precision of this geometry bring a sense of order to your mind. The world is not a place of random speeds and chaotic movements. It is a structured masterpiece where every path is defined and every limit is a safeguard. You are safely held within this structure, moving at the pace that is right for you while the light performs its silent, timeless work in the background. As you close your eyes, imagine the universe as a vast web of these luminous null paths, all of them crossing and weaving to create a shared reality that is stable, consistent, and beautiful. You are at the center of this web, resting in the quiet heart of a reality that is perfectly connected and forever at peace. In the deepening stillness of the evening, we turn our attention to the great mechanical mystery of the universe, why we cannot simply push our way past the speed of light. In our everyday experience, adding energy produces a very familiar and predictable result. If you pedal the bike harder, you accelerate. If a car burns more fuel, the engine provides more speed. If a rocket ignites a second stage, its velocity climbs higher into the sky. This pattern is so reliable and consistent that it becomes an unconscious expectation. We believe that energy and speed share a direct, linear relationship, that more of one must always cause more of the other. At the low velocities where our lives unfold, this intuition is remarkably accurate. Nothing in the way a ball rolls or a plane flies hints that there might be a ceiling waiting ahead, a point where the universe begins to say no. But as motion begins to approach the universe's deepest boundary, something subtle and profound changes. At higher and higher speeds, each additional burst of energy produces a smaller and smaller increase in velocity. The object still responds to the effort, it still accelerates, but the acceleration begins to taper. The speed climbs more and more slowly, as if the universe were quietly redirecting the energy somewhere else, siphoning it away from the miles per hour and into something deeper. No matter how much energy is added, even if you had the power of 1,000 suns at your disposal, the speed of a massive object will never quite reach the same pace that light travels. This is not a theoretical curiosity, it is a physical reality observed directly in the most advanced laboratories on Earth. Accelerators, those immense rings deep beneath the ground, provide a clear and silent example of this truth. These machines feed enormous amounts of energy into tiny particles, pushing them closer and closer to the cosmic speed limit. Early in the process, the particles accelerate rapidly, just as our intuition expects. But as their speed nears the limit, a strange phenomenon occurs. Vast, incredible increases in energy produce only tiny, microscopic changes in velocity. The particles become more energetic, carrying more punch and more heat, but they do not get much faster. Crucially, nothing in the machinery breaks, no mysterious force pushes back against the particles, and no cosmic friction slows them down. The particles simply refuse to cross the boundary because the geometry of spacetime does not allow it. The key insight is that at extreme speeds, energy does not only go into speed. At low velocities, almost all the energy we add to an object is expressed as motion through space. But at extreme velocities, that energy begins to flow into other aspects of motion that are easy to overlook. One of those aspects is inertia, the resistance to change. As an object moves faster, it becomes increasingly difficult to nudge it any further. It is not that the object is gaining more stuff or becoming physically larger, it is that the energy itself contributes to how strongly the object resists further acceleration. Each additional push has less effect on the speed and more effect on how difficult it becomes to change that speed at all. The object becomes more deeply embedded in the fabric of the universe, anchored by its own energy. Another place this energy goes is in time stretching and space contraction. As the speed increases, time for the moving object slows down relative to an outside observer, and the distance ahead of it appears to shorten. These adjustments happen together in a coordinated dance. Space-time is essentially redistributing how the motion is expressed. Less of it can appear as increased speed through space, so more of it must appear as altered time and changed distance. This redistribution is not a choice made by the universe, it is enforced by the very structure of the fabric we are traveling through. There exists a maximum rate at which events can be connected, and as we approach that rate, we experience the cosmic version of diminishing returns. A useful way to picture this as you drift towards sleep is to imagine pouring water into a container that gradually narrows towards E-top. At first, when the container is wide, the water level rises quickly with every drop you add, but as the container narrows, each additional pour raises the level less and less. You are still adding the same amount of water, but it is being distributed into a smaller and smaller available space. Speed behaves similarly near the cosmic limit. The energy is still being added, and it is still doing work, but it can no longer translate into the one thing we are looking for, more velocity. The narrowing of spacetime prevents the speed from ever reaching the rim. This understanding reshapes our original expectation. The universe is not saying no to our ambition or our energy, it is saying yes to consistency. It allows energy to change motion in every way except the one that would break the shared logic of reality. By redirecting energy into inertia and time, space-time quietly prevents signals from outrunning causality and effects from preceding their causes. It is a safeguard that ensures that no matter how much power we wield, we cannot tear the universe's logic apart. The limit is unreachable not because of a lack of strength, but because of the way the universe is built. As you rest now, let the idea of these diminishing returns bring a sense of quietude to your mind. We live in a world where more effort does not always mean more haste, and where the universe itself values stability over speed. You do not need to push harder to find the rest you seek. The energy of your day is being redirected now, away from the movement of the miles and into the quiet, internal processes of your own rest. Just as the particles in the accelerator find their limit, your own energy is settling into a place of stillness. The universe is designed to hold you steady, providing a boundary where the rush of the world must eventually taper off and give way to peace. The cosmic speed limit is not a wall to be climbed, it is a principle that channels the power of the universe into forms that preserve life and order. It ensures that the fastest things are the messengers, while the massive things remain stable and enduring. Trust in this redirection. Trust in the fact that even at the edges of possibility, there is a structure that keeps everything in its proper place. The light will continue to move at its perfect pace, born at the boundary where energy and speed are one, while you continue to rest in the comfortable realm where energy is spent on growth, on healing, and on the slow, beautiful unfolding of a long and quiet night. In the quiet expansion of the night, where the air is still and the mind begins to shed its earthly weight, we look closer at the invisible mechanism that redirects our momentum as we approach the stars. We have spoken of the container that narrows, and now we must feel the texture of that narrowing. This is the mystery of inertia, the silent resistance that grows not from friction or wind, but from the very depth of space itself. In your daily life, inertia is a simple companion. It is the reason your body leans forward when a car brakes, or why a heavy suitcase is difficult to start rolling, but easy to keep in motion once it has begun. At these slow, terrestrial speeds, mass feels like a fixed quantity, a permanent weight that you carry with you. You assume that if you weigh a certain amount today, you will weigh the same no matter how fast you travel. But as the universe reveals its deeper layers, we find that mass and energy are not two separate things, they are two sides of a single shimmering coin. As an object is pushed closer to the cosmic speed limit, the energy poured into it undergoes a subtle transformation. It stops acting merely as a propellant and begins to act as a weight. This is not because the object is physical. See, accumulating more atoms, or growing larger in size, rather. The energy itself begins to manifest as a profound resistance to further change. The faster you go, the heavier you become in the eyes of the universe. It is as if the fabric of spacetime were thickening around you, becoming more viscous, making every additional mile per hour more expensive than the one before. This is the redirection of power. The universe is taking the energy that you intended for speed and folding it back into your own inertia. It is a quiet, mathematical stubbornness that ensures the massive can never truly catch the light. Imagine a grand, silent river where the water grows denser and more difficult to push through the further you move from the shore. Near the bank, where we live our lives, the water is thin and clear. We move through it with ease, hardly noticing its presence. But as we venture into the deep current toward the center, toward the speed of light, the water begins to feel like honey, then like stone. You are still pushing with the same strength, perhaps even more, but the medium itself has changed its response to your effort. This thickening is the universe's way of preserving its own logic. If mass did not increase with energy, you could eventually cross the boundary, outrunning your own history and breaking the chain of causality. The narrowing container of inertia is the safeguard that keeps you tethered to the realm of time and sequence. This redirection is also why we see such strange behavior in the particles we study. In the great accelerators, when we push a proton to nearly the speed of light, it behaves as if it were thousands of times more massive than when it was at rest. It carries a tremendous crushing momentum that belies its tiny size. Yet its speed barely budges. We are feeding it enough energy to move a mountain, but the proton uses that energy only to become more unmovable. It is a profound lesson in the limits of force. The universe tells us that there is a point where raw power no longer translates into haste, but into a deeper, more immovable presence within the geometry of space. Energy becomes a form of existence rather than a form of travel. As you drift now, letting the heaviness of your own limbs feel like a comfort rather than a burden, consider the beauty of this redirection. It means the universe is not a place of runaway chaos. It is a self-regulating system that knows how to handle an excess of energy. You do not have to worry about the world moving too fast or losing its grip on reality. There is a natural damping, a cosmic buffer that keeps the massive things stable and the energetic things contained. Your own body, resting now, is an expression of this stability. The energy you spent throughout your day is no longer pushing you forward, it is being redirected inward, settling into the quiet work of restoration and calm. You are becoming like that energetic particle that has stopped trying to race and has started simply being. Narrowing the container is not a punishment for speed, it is the architecture of peace. It ensures that the most powerful things in the cosmos, the great engines of stars and the collisions of galaxies, are still held within a framework that preserves order. It allows for a universe that is vibrant and full of energy, yet remains as stable as the bed you lie upon. This balance between motion and resistance is what enables slow and patient development of life. It creates a world where things have weight, where actions have consequences, and where time has the room to unfold with a gentle, rhythmic grace. Let the thought of this cosmic inertia soothe your spirit. You are held by a reality that is far more robust than your own efforts. You do not have to sustain the universe. The universe sustains itself through these elegant, unbreakable rules. The redirection of energy ensures that even at the highest levels of power, there is a boundary that holds. Just as the particles find their limit and become still in their own immense energy, you can find your limit tonight and let go of the need to move. The container of your day has narrowed to this single, quiet moment. All the energy of your thoughts is now being folded back into the stillness of your rest. Trust the thickening of silence. Trust the way the universe redirects the rush of time into the depth of sleep. The light will continue to trace the null paths where inertia does not exist, moving with its perfect massless freedom, while you remain safely anchored in the world of mass and meaning. There is deep harmony in this division. The fastest things are the messengers, but the heaviest things are the home. You are the home, the destination where the energy of the day finally settles and turns into the quiet, steady weight of a deep and restorative rest. In the quiet expansion of the night, we turn our attention to the most flexible thread in the cosmic weave, time itself. In your everyday life, time feels like an absolute, a steady and indifferent pulse that beats the same for everyone. A minute spent waiting for a kettle to boil feels identical to a minute spent in the company of a friend, at least to the clocks on your walls. You trust that a second is a second, no matter where you are or how you are moving. This sense of a universal shared rhythm is what allows us to organize our world, to meet at a specific hour, and to believe that the past and the future are the same for us all. But as we approach the speed of light, this rigid certainty begins to soften. Time, it turns out, is not a fixed background. It is a responsive dimension that stretches and adapts to the motion of the obsè. This phenomenon is known as time dilation, and is perhaps the deepest proof that we live in a unified spacetime. To understand it, imagine two identical clocks, perfectly synchronized, ticking in unison. One stays with you here, resting in the quiet stillness of your room. The other is placed on a spacecraft and launched toward the stars at a significant fraction of the cosmic speed limit. To you, watching from the shore of the planet, the clock on the spacecraft would appear to be slowing down. Its ticks would grow longer, its seconds stretching out as if it were moving through a thicker, more viscous version of reality. If the spacecraft were to return after what felt like a year to the traveler, you might find that decades had passed for you. The traveler has moved into your future by slowing their own passage through time. This stretching of the second is not a trick of the light or a mechanical failure of the clock. It is a fundamental adjustment made by the universe to preserve the speed limit. As we have explored, every object has a total motion through the 4 dimensions of spacetime. When the traveler increases their speed through the 3 dimensions of space, the universe must compensate by reducing their speed through the 4th dimension, the dimension of time. It is a cosmic balance of scales. The more of your allowance you spend on distance, the less you have remaining for duration. Time stretches to ensure that your total motion never exceeds the boundary that spacetime defines. It is the universe's way of saying that if you wish to race across the miles, you must pay for it with your minutes. For the traveler on that spacecraft, however, nothing would feel strange. Their heartbeat would remain steady, their thoughts would unfold at their usual pace, and their own clock would appear to tick with perfect normalcy. This is the beauty of relativity. Every observer's experience is internally consistent. The slowing of time is only revealed when 2 different paths through space-time are compared. It is a relational truth, a reminder that your perspective is inextricably linked to your motion. Time is not a single river for everyone. It is a collection of individual streams, each carving its own path through the velvet fabric of the cosmos, slowing and accelerating based on the journey each traveler chooses to take. We see this stretching of time in the smallest particles that rain down on us from space. Subatomic particles called muons are created in the upper atmosphere by cosmic rays. These particles are incredibly short-lived. In a laboratory at rest, they decay into other particles in a tiny fraction of a second, far too quickly to ever reach the surface of the Earth. And yet, we detect them here on the ground in great numbers. They survive the journey because they are traveling so close to the speed of light that their internal clocks slow down. From our perspective, their second is stretched out long enough to allow them to cross the miles of atmosphere. They are tiny time travelers, proof that the seconds we feel so certain of are actually flexible and responsive to the speed of the journey. As you rest now, letting the slow rhythm of your own breathing guide you toward sleep, consider the comfort of this flexibility. It means that time is not a cold, mechanical master that demands absolute obedience. It is a part of the universe that bends to accommodate the needs of reality. In your stillness, you are moving through time at the maximum possible rate. You are the fastest traveler of all when it comes to the dimension of duration. Every second you experience is full and rich, uncompressed by the rush of extreme speed. You have the luxury of the long second, the deep and patient passage of time that allows for the mind to settle and the body to heal. The stretching of the second is the universe's way of keeping us safe within the logic of cause and effect. By slowing time for the fast-moving traveler, the universe ensures that they can never arrive before they leave, and that information can never outrun its own meaning. It is a safeguard that preserves the story of the cosmos, ensuring that no matter how far or how fast we go, the sequence of our lives remains orderly and coherent. The delay that we sometimes find frustrating in our daily lives, the wait for a message to arrive or for a journey to end, is actually the very thing that keeps our reality from collapsing into a single chaotic instant. Let the thought of this responsive time soothe your mind. You do not have to race to keep up with the world. You can exist in your own stream of time, moving at the pace that is natural for you. The universe is not a single ticking clock that you are falling behind. It is a vast and gentle sea of moments, all of them coexisting and adjusting to maintain the harmony of the whole. Your rest tonight is a journey through your own personal dimension of time, a slow and beautiful drift through the seconds that the universe has provided specifically for your peace. Trust the elasticity of moments. Trust that the universe has given you exactly the time you need to find your way to sleep. The light will continue to move on its null paths, untouched by time, connecting the stars in a flash, while you remain here, cradled in the slow, stretching embrace of a night that is unfolding exactly as it should. There is no hurry in the heart of space. Everything is moving at the speed of its own existence, held in the quiet, adaptive rhythm of a reality that values the integrity of the journey above all else. In the quiet, focused center of the night, we arrive at a place where the mind can play with the deepest secrets of the universe through a simple, luminous image. This is a journey of the imagination, a thought experiment designed to show us exactly why time must stretch when we move. To visualize this, we must imagine the simplest possible timepiece, a light clock. Picture two small, perfect mirrors held a short distance apart, one above the other. Between these mirrors, a single pulse of light, a tiny glowing spark, bounces up and down. Each time the spark hits the bottom mirror, it makes a quiet, rhythmic tick. In your own room, as you rest in stillness, this clock behaves exactly as you would expect. The light moves in a straight vertical line, back and forth, tracing the same path over and over. Its speed is constant, and its rhythm is steady. This is the baseline of existence, the calm heartbeat of a world at rest. Now let's let our imagination. Imagine that this same light clock is placed on a transparent train that is moving past you at a tremendous, almost unimaginable speed. As the train glides in the dark, you look through the window at the clock. From your perspective on the platform, the light spark is no longer moving in a simple up and down line. Because the mirrors are moving forward with the train, the light must travel a diagonal path to catch the top mirror, and then another diagonal path to return to the bottom one. To your eyes, the light is tracing a long, zigzagging shape across the night. This path is clearly longer than the straight vertical line the light takes when the clock is standing still. And here is the profound moment where the universe reveals its hand. Because the speed of light is a universal constant and can never change, it must take the light longer to travel that long diagonal path than it does to travel the short vertical one. From your vantage point on the platform, the clock on the moving train is ticking more slowly. You see the spark of light laboring along that long, slanted journey, taking more time to complete a single cycle. But for the traveler on the train sitting quietly with the clock in their lap, nothing has changed. To them, the light is still moving in a perfect, straight vertical line. Their seconds feel exactly as they always have. This is the core of the mystery. The universe does not allow the light to speed up just because the train is moving. Instead, the universe allows time itself to bend. The stretching of the diagonal path is balanced exactly by the stretching of the second. The light clock is not just a tool for measurement, it is a demonstration of how spacetime maintains its integrity. It shows us that time is not a fixed backdrop, but a participant in the motion of the world. As you lie in the stillness of your own room, consider the light clock resting beside you. You are in the frame of stillness, where the paths of light are short and the passage of time is at its most efficient. You are experiencing the maximum flow of duration. There is deep comfort in that thought. You do not have to exert yourself to stay in sync with the universe. By simply being still, you are allowing time to flow through you with its most natural and uncompressed rhythm. The light in your room, the reflections in the mirrors, and the very signals in your mind are all following these straight, efficient paths. You are at the center of the geometry of rest, a sanctuary where the seconds are full and the pace of existence is calm. The beauty of this thought experiment is that it requires no complex equations to feel its truth. It is a visual logic that settles in the mind like the rhythm of a slow-moving tide. It tells us that the speed of light is so fundamental that the very fabric of time will stretch to protect it. The universe values the consistency of light above the consistency of our clocks. It would rather let a minute last an hour than let a single photon break the universal speed limit. This priority is what keeps reality stable. It ensures that the laws of physics are the same for the person on the platform and the person on the train. It allows different perspectives to coexist while still belonging to the same coherent universe. Let this image of the bouncing light spark lull you toward a deeper state of relaxation. Imagine the light moving up and down, in a perfect, steady rhythm. Each tick is a reminder of the order and the precision of the world around you. You are held within a reality where even the most extreme motions are governed by a quiet, geometric grace. The light clock is a symbol of the universe's commitment to consistency, a sign that the rules of the cosmos are working everywhere, all the time, to keep the story of the stars and the story of your life in perfect alignment. There is no chaos in the motion of the train, only a different way of slicing the fabric of space-time. As you drift now, the diagonal paths of the high-speed world can fade. You are back in the vertical, back in the stillness, back in the frame where time is generous and slow. The light in your mind is moving in its simplest, most peaceful patterns. You can trust in the steady beat of the seconds as they carry you toward sleep. The universe has already solved the problems of motion and time. It has built a framework so robust that it can stretch and bend without ever losing its way. You are a part of that framework, a resting observer in a world of perfect, luminous logic. The light clock ticks on, silent and invisible, marking the passage of a night that is unfolding with mathematical beauty. You do not need to watch the spark or count the beats. You can simply exist within the rhythm, letting the certainty of the laws of physics act as a blanket of security. The universe is not a place of random intervals, but a place of measured, beautiful duration. Trust in the stillness, trust in the light, trust in the slow and patient stretching of the night as it guides you, one perfect tick at a time, into the deep and wordless realm of sleep. In the deepening silence of the night, as the boundaries of your room seem to soften and the world outside feels more like a memory than a physical reality, we turn our attention to the final partner in the cosmic dance, space itself. We have felt the stretching of the second and the thickening of inertia, but we must also understand that distance is not the rigid, unchanging thing it appears to be. In your everyday life, a mile is a mile, and the length of your bed is a fixed and dependable measurement. You trust that if you walk across a room, the room does not change its size based on how fast you are moving. Space feels like a passive container, a stable stage that simply waits to be crossed. This expectation of a solid, unmoving world is a comfort, but it is one that the universe quietly revises as we approach the stars. This phenomenon is known as length contraction, and it is the necessary counterpart to time dilation. To understand why space must become flexible, imagine a long journey across the void of the galaxy. If you were a traveler on a spacecraft moving at a tremendous percentage of the speed of light, we know that your internal clock would slow down relative to the world you left behind. But from your perspective, inside that ship, your clock feels perfectly normal. Your heart beats as it always has, and the seconds tick by with their usual rhythm. If time feels normal to you, and yet you are covering a vast distance in what seems like a very short amount of time. The only way the universe can keep the math consistent is by shortening the distance itself. To the high-speed traveler, the very space in front of the ship begins to contract. Imagine a long silver ribbon stretching across the dark, representing the distance between two distant stars. In the quiet of a resting frame, that ribbon is millions of miles long, but as you race along that ribbon at extreme speeds, the universe begins to pull the ends together. The ribbon shortens. The destination that seems so far away is suddenly much closer, not because you have cheated the speed limit, but because the universe has redefined what a mile means for you. This is not a trick of the eye or an optical illusion. It is a physical reality. For the traveler, the universe is literally smaller in the direction of their motion. Space is not a rigid box. It is a responsive fabric that can be compressed and folded by the power of speed. This flexibility of space ensures that no matter who is watching or how fast they are moving, the speed of light remains the same. Over time, space must shrink to maintain the balance. They are two sides of the same coin, working in perfect, silent coordination to protect the fundamental rules of reality. As you lie there in your stillness, consider the peace of a world that is not under pressure. In your rest, space is at its most generous and expansive. Your room has its true and full length. The miles to the horizon are stretched out in their natural state, and the universe is wide and open. You are resting in the uncontracted heart of the world, where distance is a quiet and steady promise. The beauty of this flexible space is that it prevents the universe from ever becoming a place of contradiction. It allows different observers to experience the same reality in different ways, while still agreeing on the final outcome. The person on the planet sees the traveler's time slow down, while the traveler sees the planet's distance shrink. Both are correct, and both are describing the same geometric truth from their own unique perspective. This harmony is what allows the universe to be so vast and yet so unified. It is a system built on mutual adjustment, where space and time cooperate to ensure that every journey, no matter how fast, remains logical and coherent. As you drift now, let the idea of this flexible space bring a sense of lightness to your spirit. You do not need to worry about the vastness of the world or the distances that separate us from the stars. The universe knows how to manage its scale. It is a place that can be as wide as 1 billion light years, or as compact as a single room, depending on the needs of the moment. In your rest, you are at the center of a world that is perfectly proportioned for your comfort. The distance between your thoughts and your dreams is shortening now, as the logic of the day gives way to the fluid geometry of sleep. Think of the universe as a grand, breathing entity that can expand and contract with a graceful, rhythmic ease. Just as your own chest rises and falls in the quiet of the night, the fabric of spacetime is constantly adjusting itself to the motion of everything within it. There is nothing rigid or cold about the cosmos. It is a living, responsive structure that values the integrity of the journey above the permanence of the measurement. You are safely held within this breathing fabric, moving through a night that is exactly as long and as wide as it needs to be to bring you to rest. Let the miles and the meters fade from your mind. They are only tools for the waking world, markers for a day that is now behind you. In the realm of sleep, distance has no meaning and space has no walls. You are free to drift through a reality where the geometry is defined only by peace and the only direction is deeper into the quiet. The universe has already taken care of the math, aligning seconds and miles so you don't have to. You are simply a passenger in a world of perfect, adaptive grace, resting in a space that has become as soft and as flexible as a dream. The light will continue to trace its null paths, seeing the entire universe as a single point, because for the photon, all distance has contracted to zero. But you, in your beautiful, massive existence, have the gift of the wide world. You have the gift of distance and luxury of space. Enjoy the vastness of your rest, knowing that the universe is holding the boundaries steady while you sleep. Everything is in its proper proportion, and every mile is a quiet, restful distance, guiding you one step at a time into the infinite and peaceful dark. In the quiet expansion of the night, as the boundaries of your row Oms seem to soften and the world outside feels more like a memory than a physical reality. We turn our attention to the deepest mystery of all, how the universe allows for different truths to exist at the same time. This is the concept of the slicing of spacetime, a beautiful and subtle idea that explains how two people can see the world differently yet both be absolutely right. In our daily lives, we assume that now is a universal moment. We believe that if a clock in our room strikes midnight, it is also midnight for a person in a distant city, and for a star in a distant galaxy. We imagine the universe as a grand synchronized book, where everyone is reading the same page at the same time. This sense of a shared, absolute present is what makes the world feel solid and predictable. But as we move closer to the speed of light, we discover that now is not a universal fact. It is a personal perspective, a unique slice through the fabric of reality. To understand this, imagine the velvet fabric of spacetime once again. It is a four-dimensional block that contains every event in history, every birth of a star, every falling leaf, every breath you take. When we move through this block, we are essentially cutting slices through it. Each slice represents what we perceive as now. For an observer standing perfectly still, the slices are level and straight, like the layers of a cake. But for an observer moving at a tremendous speed, the angle of the slice changes. They are cutting through the fabric at a tilt. This means that there now includes events that are in the stationary observer's past and misses events that are in their future. It is not that one person is wrong and the other is right. It is that they are slicing the same four-dimensional reality from different angles. This shifting of the present is why time dilation and length contraction occur. They are not strange forces acting on objects. They are the result of these different perspectives. When you see a fast-moving traveler's clock slowing down, you are seeing their path through space-time from your own tilted perspective. When they see the distance ahead of them shrinking, they are seeing your world from theirs. The universe does not have a single preferred way to be sliced. Instead, it allows for a vast, infinite variety of perspectives, all of them coexisting within the same grand structure. This is the ultimate disagreement without contradiction. The universe is so vast and complex that it can hold multiple versions of the truth simultaneously, provided they are all linked by the unyielding constant of the speed of light. As you lie in the stillness of your room, consider the peace of this realization. You are in your own perfect slice of the universe. Your now is a calm and steady plane, a moment of rest that is uniquely yours. You do not have to worry about the chaotic movements of the stars or the extreme speeds of the distant cosmos, because they belong to different slices of reality. In your still frame, the world is exactly as it should be. The light travels its paths, the clock ticks its seconds, and the fabric of space-time holds you in a stable and consistent embrace. You are the master of your own perspective, the quiet center of your own personal present. This slicing of space-time is what prevents the universe from ever becoming a place of confusion. Although different observers may disagree on the timing or the distance of an event, the underlying geometry remains the same. It is like looking at a diamond from different sides. One person sees the flash of a facet, while another sees the depth of the stone. They are both looking at the same object, and their different views are what make the diamond beautiful. The speed of light is the light that SSEs through the diamond, the single constant that ensures that no matter how we look at it, the structure remains intact. It is the anchor that allows for diversity of perspective without the loss of unity. As you drift now, let the idea of these tilted slices bring a sense of fluidity to your mind. You are not trapped in a rigid, ticking box of time. You are part of a responsive and adaptive reality that honors your state of motion and your unique journey. The night is a time when the many slices of the world begin to align in the quiet. As you and others around you settle into rest, your perspectives merge into a shared stillness. The tilt of the day's activities begins to level out, and the universe becomes a single, peaceful plane of sleep. You are moving into a deeper part of the space-time block, a region where the coordinates of the miles and the hours give way to the wordless geometry of dreams. Think of the universe as a grand, multi-dimensional sculpture that we are all exploring together. Some of us are running, some of us are walking, and some of us are resting. Each of us sees a different part of the form, yet the form itself is whole and perfect. There is no conflict in our different views, only a richer understanding of the whole. Your rest tonight is a vital part of this exploration, a moment to be still and appreciate the part of the sculpture that is calm and radiant. The universe has provided this slice of time specifically for you, a place where the logic of the light is matched by the peace of the shadows. Let the waking world's disagreements fade away. They are just the results of people moving at different paces, slicing the world at different angles. In the silence of the night, those differences lose their sharpness. You are back in the center, back in the stillness, back in the frame where the only measurement that matters is the depth of your relaxation. The universe is holding all the different truths together, keeping the stars in their places and the seconds in their order, so that you don't have to. You are simply a participant in a reality that is far more generous and far more unified than it appears on the surface. The light will continue to move at its perfect pace, acting as the bridge between every tilted slice and every different perspective. It is the thread that sews the fabric together, ensuring that even when we disagree, we are still part of the same beautiful story. Trust in this unity. Trust that your rest is as real and fundamental as the motion of the furthest star. You are safely held in the quiet, consistent heart of a universe that knows how to balance every perspective and preserve every truth. Sleep now, in the calm and steady slice of a night that is yours and yours alone. In the soft, drifting silence of the night, we return to the mysterious nature of the photon, the ghostly messenger that carries the story of the universe to our eyes. We have spoken of mass as an anchor, a weight that ties us to the slow and rhythmic passage of time. But to understand light, we must embrace the idea of masslessness, not as a void or an absence, but as a form of ultimate precision. In our world of heavy things, we often mistake mass for substance, believing that for something to be real, it must be solid and resistant. But the photon proves that the most influential things in existence are often the ones that carry no weight at all. By having no mass, light is freed from the hesitation of inertia. It does not need to be nudged or coaxed into motion. It exists in a state of perpetual, perfect readiness, a sliver of pure energy that aligns itself instantly with the deepest geometry of the cosmos. This lack of mass is what allows light to act as a universal constant. If light had even the smallest, most microscopic amount of mass, it would be subject to the same diminishing returns we explored earlier. It would feel the thickening of space-time as it accelerated. It would lag behind the true geometry of the universe, and its speed would vary depending on how much energy it carried. The universe would become a hazy, unreliable place where different colors of light arrived at different times, and the sharp edges of reality would blur into a chaotic smear. But because light is massless, it is precise. It serves as a perfect yardstick, a reliable pulse that every observer in every corner of the galaxy can agree upon. It is the ghostly hand that draws the lines of possibility, marking the exact boundary between the past and the future with a signature of absolute clarity. Imagine a world where every message was sent via a messenger who never tired, never stumbled, and never slowed down regardless of the terrain. This is the role of photons in the grand architecture of space-time, because it has no rest mass. Light is not a traveler in the way we are. It is more like a ripple moving across a perfectly still pond. It does not possess a self that can sit still and contemplate the passage of hours. Instead, it is a pure expression of the relationship between space and time. This precision is what makes light so informative. When we look at the stars, we are not just seeing light, we are seeing the exact shape of the universe as it was when that light began its journey. The photon carries that information across millions of light years without losing a single beat of its rhythm, preserved by its own weightless nature. As you rest now, letting the heaviness of your own body be a source of comfort, consider the beauty of this weightless precision. You are a creature of mass, and that is a gift. It allows you to be a destination, a place where the light can finally land and be understood. The photon may be the messenger, but you are the recipient of the message. You are the reason the light travels at all. While the light must remain in constant, massless motion, you have the privilege of stillness. You have the ability to gather the light of the day and transform it into the quiet reflections of the evening. Your mass is what gives you a home in the timeline of the universe, a specific here and a specific now where you can close your eyes and find peace. The masslessness of light is what ensures that the fundamental forces of nature are always in balance. Gravity, magnetism, and the tiny forces that hold atoms together all rely on messengers that move at this ultimate, precise speed. It is a quiet, ongoing conversation that never pauses and never falters. This consistency is the reason the floor stays solid beneath you and the air remains breathable around you. The universe is held together by a network of weightless signals, all moving with a precision that defies our common understanding of effort. There is no struggle in the movement of light, only a perfect and effortless alignment with the laws of reality. Let the thought of this effortless precision settle into your mind like a soft blanket. You do not need to struggle to maintain your place in the world. The same laws that govern the massless photon are also governing the atoms of your body, keeping them stable and secure while you sleep. The universe is a master of coordination, using the fast and the weightless to protect the slow and the massive. There is a profound sense of safety in this arrangement. You are part of a system that is so well ordered and so precisely tuned that even the most distant star is connected to you by a bridge of light that never varies and never fails. As you drift now, the ghostliness of the photon can become a symbol of your own release. The light sheds the burden of mass to trace the boundaries of the cosmos. You can shed the burdens of your day to trace the boundaries of your dreams. You are entering a state where the heavy requirements of the waking world no longer apply. In the realm of sleep, your thoughts can become as light and as swift as the messengers of the stars, moving through the landscape of your mind with an effortless and quiet grace. The universe is providing the framework, the geometry is solid, and the paths are clear. The ghostly messenger continues its work in the dark, reflecting off the surfaces of your room and carrying the faint silver glow of the moon. It does not seek your attention, it simply provides the light. It is a presence that is always there, a constant reminder that reality is structured and meaningful even when we are not looking. Trust the precision of the massless. Trust the order of light. You are resting in the heart of a universe that is both solid and radiant, held by the weight of time and guided by the precision of the stars. Sleep now, knowing that the most perfect messengers in existence are watching over the night, moving at the only speed that could ever keep the world so beautifully and so quietly in place. In the quiet, rhythmic unfolding of the late hours, we come to recognize that the speed of light is not just a measurement of how fast a glow travels across a room, it is, more accurately, the speed of causality. This is perhaps the most vital role that the universal frontier plays in telling your life and the lives of the stars. Causality is the simple, sacred principle that ensures every effect is preceded by a cause. It is the reason that a glass must shatter after it hits the floor, and not a moment before. It is the reason that a seed must be planted before a flower can bloom. In our world, time has a direction, an arrow that points steady forward, and the speed of light is the tether that keeps that arrow straight. By limiting how fast influence can spread, the universe ensures that the sequence of events remains orderly, consistent, and safe for all who experience it. If information could travel instantaneously, the very structure of our reality would fracture. Imagine a universe without this limit, where a signal could move across the galaxy in 0 seconds. In such a world, the now would become a tangled, chaotic mess. Because of the way space and time are linked, any signal that travels faster than light could, from a certain perspective, appear to be traveling backward in time. A message could arrive before it was sent. A response could be given before a question was asked. The logic of the universe would dissolve into a series of impossible paradoxes where the future could rewrite the past. The speed of light acts as a cosmic guard, a barrier that prevents the threads of history from knotting together. It ensures that the universe remains a place where stories can be told, where progress can be made, and where meaning can be found in the steady passage of the hours. This protection is especially profound when we consider the delicate sequence of life itself. You are a biological masterpiece, a complex system of feedback loops and chemical reactions. that rely entirely on the reliability of time. Your heartbeat is a sequence, your breathing is a rhythm, the very thoughts drifting through your mind as you settle into rest are a series of electrical signals firing in a precise, measured order. If the speed of information were infinite, these internal processes would lose their timing. There would be no delay between a stimulus and a response, no space for a system to adjust, and no room for the complexity of consciousness to emerge. Life requires the wait. It thrives in the gaps provided by speed limit. By forcing the universe to move at a finite pace, the laws of physics have given us the gift of duration, allowing the simple laws of matter to blossom into the intricate, slow-moving beauty of a living being. As you rest now, let the thought of this protective limit bring you a sense of deep, structural security. You are living in a universe that refuses to rush, a universe that values the integrity of the sequence above the convenience of the moment. This means that your past is truly behind you, settled and secure in the archives of time, and your future is a horizon that will arrive only after the present has finished its work. You are protected by the geometry of space-time from the chaos of a collapsed timeline. The night is allowed to be long and quiet because the universe has agreed to move at a pace that honors the needs of living things. You do not have to worry about the order of the world failing. The speed of light is holding the boundaries of logic in place while you sleep. The speed of causality is the reason that a journey has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It is the reason we can plan for tomorrow and learn from yesterday. When you look up at the night sky and see the light of a star that no longer exists, you are seeing causality in its most patient form. The universe is showing you its history one light year at a time, ensuring that even the vastest distances are subject to the same orderly progression as a conversation between two friends. There is a profound elegance in a reality that treats the smallest chemical bond and the largest galactic collision with the same commitment to sequence. Everything must wait its turn, everything must follow the path that spacetime has laid out. Consider the peace of a world where nothing can be hurried beyond its natural limit. The pressures of the waking world often demand that we move faster, that we respond instantly, and that we outrun the clock. But the universe quietly reminds us that there is a maximum pace for all things, and that true structure cannot be rushed. Your rest tonight is a return to this fundamental rhythm. You are allowing your body and mind to follow their own causal chains where relaxation leads to stillness, and stillness leads to the deep, restorative effect of sleep. You are moving at the perfect speed, the speed of life, which is governed by the patient, unyielding speed of light. Let the order of the cosmos settle over you like a heavy, warm quilt. Every atom in your room is obeying the same rules of causality that keep the stars in their orbits. There is no part of your reality that is not protected by this silent, luminous guardian. The limit is not a wall that traps you, it is the floor that supports you. It is the reason you can trust that when you close your eyes, the world will still be there, in its proper order, when you wake. The sequence is safe. The timeline is secure. The universe is moving at exactly the rate it must to keep the story of your life coherent and beautiful. As you drift now, imagine the ripples of causality moving outward from the stars, crossing the vastness of space at their perfect measured pace. They are in no hurry, and neither are you. You are part of a grand, slow-moving symphony, where every note has its place and every silence has its meaning. The speed of light is the conductor's baton, keeping the tempo of reality steady so that the music of the spheres can play on without interruption. Trust in the tempo, trust in the sequence, trust in the quiet, protective limit that ensures tonight will lead gently and inevitably into tomorrow. In the microscopic silence of the night, where the world of the massive and the visible fades into the background, we turn our gaze toward the strange and shimmery realm of the very small. Quantum physics has a reputation for being a place where all rules are broken, where logic bends, and where the solid ground of reality turns into a sea of probabilities. We hear of particles that can be in two places at once, of objects that act like waves, and of connections that seem to leap across space without a moment's delay. In such a world, it is tempting to believe that the cosmic speed limit would finally meet its match. We wonder if, in the tiny hidden layers of existence, there might be a loophole, a secret path where information can outrun the light. But as we settle into the quiet of the evening, we find that even here, in the most mysterious depths of matter, the speed of light remains an absolute and unyielding anchor. The quantum world does not break the speed limit, it reinforces it with a different kind of sophistication. While it is true that quantum particles can be entangled, sharing a mysterious invisible link regardless of the distance between them, this connection is not a form of communication. When a measurement is made on one entangled particle, its partner responds instantly, even if it is on the other side of the galaxy. But the universe is careful to ensure that this instance cannot be used to send a message. Because the outcomes of quantum measurements are fundamentally random, we cannot choose what information to send. The correlation is real, but the influence is silent. It is like two people in different cities opening boxes to find matching gloves. The discovery is simultaneous, but no signal traveled between them at the moment the boxes were opened. The shared history was written long ago, and the cosmic speed limit ensures that no new meaning can be added to that history faster than a beam of light can travel. This consistency is why even the smallest parts of your body remain stable. If quantum force could act instantly, the delicate balance of the atoms that make up your cells would be thrown into chaos. Electrons move around nuclei, and photons of energy are exchanged between particles to hold matter together. These interactions happen at the scale of the cosmic speed limit, creating a tiny rhythmic delay that allows structure to exist. If the signals that hold you together were infinite in speed, there would be no time for the patterns of life to form. You are a creature of sequences, and those sequences are protected by the fact that even the smallest quantum leap must respect the geometry of spacetime. The universe does not fracture into different sets of laws. As we move from the stars to the atoms, it remains a single coherent story, held together by the same unmoving boundary. As you drift now toward a deeper rest, let the thought of this quantum order bring a sense of peace to your mind. You are not made of chaotic, lawless pieces. Every electron and every photon within you is following the same steady tempo that governs the furthest reaches of the cosmos. There is a deep unity here. The same rule that prevents a spaceship from outrunning its own light is the same rule that ensures the chemistry of your breath and the firing of your thoughts remain orderly and reliable. You are a sanctuary of consistency, living proof that reality is structured and safe at every possible level. Even when we cannot see the logic with our eyes, we can feel its effects on the stability of the world around us. Quantum consistency is why we can trust night predictability. It ensures that the energy of the day is absorbed and redistributed in an orderly way, allowing the warmth to linger and the shadows to settle. The universe is not a place of sudden, impossible jumps that could disrupt your rest. It is a place of gradual, measured change, where influence spreads like a soft ripple across a pond rather than a shattering wave. By enforcing the speed of light at the smallest scales, space-time creates a buffer of time, a tiny cushion of duration that allows the world to breathe. This is the quiet generosity of the laws of physics. They give everything, even the smallest particle, the room it needs to exist without being overwhelmed by the rest of the universe. Consider the elegance of a reality that is so deeply integrated. It is like a vast tapestry where the smallest threads are woven with the same precision as the largest patterns. You do not have to worry about the foundations of your existence failing or the rules of the world changing while you sleep. The speed of light is the golden thread that runs through everything, tying the subatomic to the galactic in a single unbreakable knot. It is the guarantee that cause will always lead to effect, and that the sequence of your life will continue to unfold with a gentle, rhythmic grace. You can let go of the need to understand every complexity, knowing that the universe has already handled the details. As you close your eyes, imagine the quiet hum of the atoms in your room. They are not rushing, they are simply existing within the framework that has been provided for them. They are following the paths of least resistance, the null paths of light, and the steady orbits of matter, all within the limit that keeps the cosmos from collapsing into a single, frantic moment. You are part of this quiet, quantum harmony. Your rest tonight is supported by the most fundamental forces in existence, all of them working in perfect, limited unison to ensure that your peace is preserved. The world is small, the world is large, and the world is one. The speed of light is the silence between the notes of the universe, the pause that allows the music to be heard. Without it, there would be only noise, but wit. It, there is a melody, a slow, beautiful song that guides the stars and lulls the living to sleep. Trust the small consistency, trust in the order of the hidden. You are safely held in a reality that values structure above all else, moving at the pace that allows for complexity, for life, and for the deep, restorative quiet of a long and peaceful night. The quantum world is at rest, the stars are in their places, and you are exactly where you belong, drifting in the steady, luminous flow of a universe that never breaks its own heart. In the deepening stillness of your rest, we turn our attention to the final great sculptor of the cosmic journey, gravity. We often think of gravity as a simple pull, a force that reaches out like an invisible hand to drag objects toward the Earth or keep the planets in their orbits. We imagine it as something that acts only on things with weight and substance, but as we have discovered, light has no mass, no weight, and no anchor. By all the rules of our earthly intuition, light should be immune to the tug of a star or the heavy presence of a planet. And yet, light bends. It curves as it passes the sun, it warps as it threads through a cluster of galaxies, and it can even be trapped within the dark embrace of a black hole. This happens not because gravity is pulling on the light itself, but because gravity is reshaping the very stage upon which light must travel. Gravity does not tug on the messenger, it curves the road. To understand this, we must return one last time to the velvet fabric of space-time. Imagine that this fabric is not just a flat sheet, but a flexible, responsive surface. When a massive object like a star is placed upon it, the fabric does not remain level, it sinks, creating a gentle dip or a deep well in the geometry of the universe. This is what gravity truly is, the curvature of space and time. Now, imagine a beam O, F-light, our massless, ghostly messenger, traveling across this landscape. Light always seeks the shortest, most direct path between 2 points. On a flat surface, that path is a straight line. But on a curved surface, the straightest possible path is a curve. As the light enters the dip created by a star, it simply follows the contour of the fabric. It is not being forced to turn, it is behaving with perfect, rhythmic obedience to the shape of the reality it inhabits. This bending of light is a profound confirmation of the cosmic speed limit. Even in the presence of the most crushing gravity, the speed of light never changes. Locally, in every inch of that curved path, the light is still moving at its perfect, unyielding pace. The universe does not allow gravity to slow down the light or speed it up in any absolute sense. Instead, gravity changes the definition of distance and the flow of time within that region. Near a massive object, time stretches even further, and space warps to compensate. The light remains the constant, the one true thing that refuses to break, while the stage itself bends to accommodate the presence of mass. This partnership between gravity and light is what gives the universe its depth and its magnificent swirling architecture. As you drift now, let the thought of this curved landscape bring a sense of grace to your rest. You are not living in a world of hard angles and rigid lines. You are part of a universe that is soft, flexible, and beautifully contoured. The gravity that holds you in your bed tonight is the same gentle curvature that guides the starlight across the void. It is a unifying embrace that links the smallest atom to the vastest galaxy. There is no struggle in this curvature, only a natural following of the path. You can feel the weight of your own body not as a burden, but as a signature of your place in this geometric mast. A piece. You are nestling into a curve of the universe that has been shaped specifically to hold you safe and still. We see the effects of this landscape in the phenomenon known as gravitational lensing. Across the vast distances of the cosmos, the gravity of a massive galaxy can act like a giant cosmic magnifying glass. It takes the light from an even more distant object and bends it around the edges, focusing it and stretching it into arcs and rings of brilliant color. It is a silent, luminous dance where mass and light cooperate to show us things that would otherwise be hidden in the dark. The universe uses its own weight to reveal its light. This is the quiet sophistication of the laws of physics. They do not act in isolation. Gravity provides shape, light provides vision. Together, they create a reality that is both solid and radiant, structured yet fluid. Let the image of these curving paths of light soothe your mind. You are part of a system that is far more elegant than a simple machine. It is a responsive, living geometry that knows how to balance the immense power of a star with the delicate journey of a single photon. Just as the light follows the curves of space-time without effort, you can follow the natural curves of your own rest. The day has left its own imprints on the fabric of your mind, and now, in the quiet of the night, those impressions are being smoothed over by the steady, rhythmic gravity of sleep. You are following the path of least resistance, drifting into the deep well of rest that the universe has provided for the end of your journey. The speed of light remains the anchor even in the heart of a black hole, where gravity is so strong that space and time seem to switch places. Even there, light does not fail. It simply follows the paths that are available to it, tracing the ultimate edge of what geometry allows. This consistency is why the universe remains whole. No matter how much it is bent or twisted by the presence of mass, the fundamental rules never abandon their post. The speed of light is the heartbeat that continues to pulse even in the most extreme environments, a reminder that there is a core of order that can never be undone. Rest now in the certainty of this landscape. The world is not falling apart, it is simply curving toward its own stability. The gravity of the earth is a gentle promise that you will remain exactly where you are, protected by the same laws that guide the stars. The light of the moon and the distant suns will continue to thread through the curves of the cosmos, arriving at your window with the same precision they have always shown. You are a participant in a grand geometric harmony, a resting soul in a universe that is shaped by love, mass, and the unyielding beauty of the light. Sleep in the curve of the night, knowing that every path is defined, every limit is a safeguard, and every moment is held in the perfect silent balance of the stars. In the final fading echoes of our journey, as the night reaches its deepest point and the world outside has surrendered entirely to the shadows, we find ourselves back where we began, but with a new and profound understanding of the silence. We started by asking a simple question: why can light not go faster? We wondered why a universe so vast and full of energy would impose such a strict and unyielding limit on its fastest messenger. But through the hours and the miles of our exploration, we have discovered that the speed of light is not a barrier holding back reality. It is the very rhythm that allows reality to exist. The limit is not an arbitrary ceiling, but a foundational promise. It is the signature of a universe that refuses to rush, a cosmos that values the integrity of the story over the speed of the telling. If the universe moved any faster, it would lose the very thing that makes it beautiful, its coherence. As you drift now at the edge of a deep and restorative sleep, consider the quiet generosity of this refusal to rush. By limiting the speed of information, the universe has created the gift of duration. It has given us the space to breathe, the time to grow, and the ability to perceive the world as a sequence of meaningful moments. If light were infinite, the now would be a blinding, chaotic flash where every star in the sky and every event in history happened at once. There would be no room for the slow ripening of a fruit, the gradual onset of a sunset, or the peaceful transition from wakefulness to rest. We are children of delay. We are the inhabitants of the cause and effect gap. The speed of light is the cosmic tempo that ensures the symphony of existence plays out one note at a time, at a pace that a living, thinking mind can savor and understand. This realization brings a final and absolute peace to our understanding of motion. We no longer see the speed of light as a constraint we must overcome, but as a structure that we can trust. It is the steady hand of the architect, ensuring that the walls of space-time are solid and the floors of causality are level. Whether we are looking at the tiny probabilistic world of the atom or the vast curved landscape of a black hole, the same rule applies. The universe is consistent with itself. It does not switch gears or lose its way. It remains a single unified whole, held together by the same luminous thread that connects your own heartbeat to the furthest reaches of the observable heavens. There is no part of you that is not a participant in this grand and quiet order. As your thoughts become as soft as the night air, think of your own life as a part of this refusal to rush. The world of the day often feels frantic, demanding, a pace that is at odds with the true rhythm of the cosmos. We are told to hurry, accelerate, and overtake the clock. But tonight, the universe invites you to return to its own pace. You do not need to be faster than the light. You do not need to reach the destination before the journey has finished. You are allowed to move slowly. You are allowed to linger in the quiet. You are allowed to be exactly where you are, resting in a frame of stillness while the rest of the cosmos turns at its perfect restricted speed. World pressure is a human invention, but night peace is a cosmic truth. This has been a journey through the nature of possibility itself. We have seen how mass anchors us to time, how energy is redirected to preserve order, and how space and time trade roles to keep the speed of light constant for everyone. These are not just mathematical facts. They are the pillars of your sanctuary. They ensure that when you close your eyes, the world remains stable. They guarantee that your dreams can unfold in their own private dimension of time, protected by the same laws that keep the stars in their places. You are resting in the heart of a masterpiece that is far more robust and far more caring than we often realize. The speed limit is the universe's way of saying that your life is worth the time it takes to happen. The final echo is the sound of a reality that has found its balance. It is the hum of the atoms, the pulse of the light, and the quiet rotation of the earth, all moving in a coordinated, unhurried dance. This is the whispering scientist's final observation for you tonight, that the greatest power in the universe is not the ability to go fast, but the ability to remain consistent. The light will continue to race at its perfect, unyielding pace, born at the boundary of what is possible, while you will continue to move through the years with the dignity and depth that only mass and time can provide. There is no competition between them, only a beautiful and shared existence. As the last traces of wakefulness fade, imagine the universe as a vast, dark ocean, where every wave of light is a steady and predictable ripple. You are drifting on this ocean, cradled by the laws of physics, moving toward a horizon of perfect rest. The mystery of the speed limit is solved, and in its place is a deep and abiding certainty. The universe is whole, the sequences are safe, and the night is yours. You have traveled through the geometry of the stars and the secrets of the small, and now you have arrived at the most important destination of all, the stillness of the present moment. Let the light of the universe be your guide, not to a place of speed, but to a place of clarity. Let the silence of the night be your teacher, showing you how to exist without effort. Everything that must happen will happen in its proper time, at its proper pace, and in its proper order. The stars are in their heavens, the light is on its path, and the world is at peace. You are home, you are safe, you are part of the final echo, a quiet and beautiful resonance in a universe that has finally, perfectly refused to rush. Sleep now, and dream in the steady, luminous rhythm of the cosmos. Good night.